back to the KB Cabinet channel. My name is Rob. In tonight's video, I wanted to talk about using animation-based programs, generating assets, and putting them in VCarve Pro for carving. Cabinetry is my thing, so I wanted to see if I could use another program and kind of help facilitate my creativity in the world of cabinetry. Behind me, you can see what I got going on here, and this is a drawer front. It's going to be on a drawer front, and I made this. It did not come from VCarve Pro. In fact, sad story, when I bought VCarve Pro, I must not have bought the wood carving package that came with it, because when I went to go test out some wood carvings, my folder was empty, and I thought that was tragic. I probably could go back and buy some, and I'm sure there's websites out there that can buy some, but I wanted to see what I can do myself, because I'm kind of a do-it-yourself kind of a guy. What I got going on here, if we go to our 2D view, this is my work area. It's my drawer front, and as you can see, I've got a height map in the middle, and that's my it's just a simple 3D scene that I created, and I'm gonna show you here in a second kind of how I got to this point here. Yeah, this represents my drawer front, and then it's gonna cut it out, and I'm gonna make a cool little chess cabinet for all you chess lovers out there. I'm not really a chess guy. I just thought it'd be a cool, simple little scene to make. So this is not going to be a tutorial, because I understand that a lot of these programs are not necessarily accessible to most of you, and even if they were accessible, it's a lot of work learning these programs. I have a background in animation, a little bit of animation, compositing, stuff like that. So the program was pretty, I had known how to use it for a while for, different stuff, artistic stuff. And so since I didn't have the wood carving stuff in VCarve, I thought I'd take a look and see what I could do in here. And an overview, this is Cinema 4D. There's other programs out there. There's 3ds Max. Blender is a free open source one. Maya, Cinema 4D. There's a few out there. But what I did is I first created a scene to the real world scale of inches, is what I use. And I wanted to see if I could build a plane or build something in Cinema 4D where it would scale correctly when I went to import it to VCarve. And so what I did is I built a simple scene. And at the end of this video, I'll put a quick little speed run of kind of how I got to this point, so you can see. So stick around to the end if you want to see that. And I've got a drawer front and then a door, and the door here is going to have these two little horsey heads, and very simple. I just kind of plopped them there just for the sake of this. So what I did was, when I had my drawer front, I measured, if we're doing a shaker style, I measured what the inner opening is going to be on this cabinet, and I made my models to fit the inner part. And when I got done and I was happy with everything, I exported it I tried it as an STL file and then a OBJ, which is a common 3D file. And then I brought them into VCarve, and this was the result. So if we close out of here, and we create a new file, we have, this is my drawer front size, and here's my modeling resolution. So I want to kind of go over this really quickly, because if you see, it says standard, high, very high. If we go to cancel, and we hold shift and the up arrow key at the same time and create a new file, we unlock like a new hidden level. Whoa, we got extremely high and maximum. Now, caveat to this, let's go to maximum. These higher settings are hidden for a reason, and that's because whenever you're doing animation rendering, they are very GPU, CPU intensive, and most people, their machines are not going to be able to handle that. My machine is built for 3D modeling and rendering and stuff like that, so it does okay. But just keep in mind, if you do want to bump up those resolutions, you're going to slow your machine down. And if it's not a very beefy machine, you might just crash the program. But we'll hit OK. And this represents the entirety of my drawer front. If we go to the modeling, we're going to go to, I think it was this, the STL. So I did an OBJ and an STL, so let's do the STL. And you can see here that the geometry, the detail is good. It is good, and whenever you do something like this, the detail, if you're making this yourself, you're kind of responsible for the quality of the model. It's going to come from the program you use. So if you get like a professionally made model out there, then you're probably good. But if you're doing it yourself, you got to keep in mind topography matters, your polygons, things like that. Like it's gonna play into the quality. But I'm pretty happy with that. Let's rotate it, something like that. Position and import. Let's see, just for the sake of this, let's see how we go if we just import it. And I have done nothing to it. I scaled it completely out of Cinema 4D. So if we go to our drawing and just make sure we're centered, I have done nothing as far as scaling goes. So I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I can go into Cinema 4D, set my, build it to scale, and it comes right in and scaled. So if I take it and let's say we want to assign a rough pass, and this is not my main computer, so I don't have my tool library set up, and I know I've said that in prior videos, but so here we got the rough pass. Looks pretty good. This is just with an 1/8 inch end mill. And if we close out of that, let's see what we got going on here on our setup. Oh, we'll zero that out. Yes. So see how everything that is happening at a much slower rate, and that is because I have that resolution cranked up so high. Alright, so now if we do our 3D pass, it's definitely going to be slower. But the detail, if you're doing a really detailed carving, you might need that to see that detail. And so if your computer can handle it, it might be worth it to do it a little slower. The area I guess you want to avoid is if your machine can't, it will probably crash it. But I understand how, like, to build a good, get a good PC for design. I mean, you're talking what, I don't know, $2-3 grand now with inflation. So I totally understand it if there's a lot of you guys out there that just don't. So the finished pass is complete. I actually did make some slight changes to the model itself. I went ahead and I put a little space in between the king and the queen so I could put a little hole for a handle and adjust a little the height here. Moving forward though, I think I would actually need to add maybe a diamond or some sort of a design here that builds it out so that way there's enough thickness to actually put the handle through. But all in all, I think it looks pretty freaking cool. At least for how little work we did. So what we're going to do now, let's go ahead and I'm going to close this out. So let's create a new file. We're going to hold Shift up and Enter, and we're going to do 15 by 18. Let's try this. Or maybe let's go 15 by 18. Yeah, we'll do it that way. It's a little easier to see. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So inside of my animation program, Cinema 4D, So we've got this door panel, and this is going to represent the inner portion of that shaker door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and this 15 by 18 is my overall. So we're going to do 10.5. In fact, I lied to you. I'm actually going to have to close this out. We're going to have to... I made my door size wrong. It's going to be 15 by 22.5. That's more like it. Yeah, 22.5. Okay. That's just specific to the cabinet door that I'm building. So it's going to be 10.5 by 18. Alright, that looks right. And so then when I center... Sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly, and so I probably should have had some of this written down, but... Okay, so this is what my door is going to look like. Like if we were just to machine out a shaker door. But what we want to do is we want to put this in the center of that. So what I'm going to do, I've already got this. In theory, it should be the right size. So we're going to export it, and we'll do this as an OBJ, and we'll just see how this works. So that way we see a different file type. But we're going to go inches, because remember, your scale is your unit of measurement. Very important. Let's go save this. Let's save this as night door. You see all my test files over there. Alright, so now if we come back in here, we go to modeling. If we load in our night door, should work out for us. So that looks good, that looks good, but we're going to go ahead and do it like that orientation. We're going to position and import. Let's take a look at this here. So on this particular model, you can see I did not delete, I didn't even worry about deleting the other side of the horse because this will do it for us. So I just got to make sure we're not losing any detail. If you haven't done this, if you guys are new to this, you see this where it's dark purple, the blue. This is like, you know, where the water's rising. That's where you lose. Anything below that, you'll lose. So we want to make sure we don't lose anything. So see how that turned dark blue? I actually need the bottom part of this geometry for this to work because it's looking at the whole model. So I need that to be that same green color. Now I'm going to hit it. We've got discard data below zero plane. We're going to import that. And there we go. So if we look at our 2D, bam, look at that right there, smack dab in the middle. So if I highlight that, we'll go over to tool paths, do a rough pass. Let's see what this looks like. Alright, so we got a rough pass here, and on this particular geometry, it looks like it's giving us a step down. And again, how you model it, how I model it, is kind of going to determine these patterns here. So if I'm not happy with that, I go in and, you know, a little bit of trial and error, but as you design it, and do this a few times, like, you know, it and kind of figure out, you know, the changes you need to make to get, you know, whatever the result you want. So now if we hit close, let's see what kind of a, we'll just leave that for now. Calculate this finishing pass. Alright, so we are done with the finishing pass, and if we kind of zoom in, we'll see what we have to work with. And again, I'm using just the end mill, that 1/4 inch end mill, and then a V-bit, the 22.5 degree V-bit that I had kind of plugged in here, so I can kind of see what I get with different types of tools, and you know, I might need to get a better carving bit and plug it in here so I you know, have more crisp edges, but it's pretty cool. It gives me an idea at least as where I land and then where I would need to focus on if I wanted to improve it, like these, these round edges right here. I'd probably get, more of a straight carving bit or something. And again, some detail here. But overall, I mean, I think it's very workable, or at least it lands you in a very good spot to, if you wanted to fine tune it and make something really cool. So anyways, I hope this was, kind of at least enjoyable for you guys to watch, because I thought, I think it's a lot of fun for me to go through and just kind of experiment and see what I can come up with. And again, I understand that, this workflow, it's complicated and it's not, necessarily as accessible. It might be for some people, it's easier to go out and buy something on a, on a website that's already pre-made and pre-designed. But, maybe there's others out there, some of you guys are like me and just, I like to see what I can do myself. I kind of like that creative freedom, and it's just fun. I like the challenge. In the future, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into Blender, which is the free 3D program. It's completely free and open source, and in the future I plan on making some tutorials in Blender, because that's probably going to be more accessible. But anyway, if any of you guys out there find this interesting or cool, leave me a comment if there's anything specifically you'd like to see. Or if you didn't like it and think it's a waste of time, I'd like to know that too. So anyway, one last thing before I stop this video, I do want to point something out that I did notice in all my trial and error runs. Alright, so if I get pretty good detail when let's close this out a second. Just say no for now. When I create a new file and it's the size of the material that I want, I get good detail. Where I found that I did not get detail is, let's say I have an industrial CNC that I experiment on. When I have time, and I use 4x8 sheets. I get machine grade MDF and 4x8 sheets, and I thought, let's say, actually, let me close this out again. I think I have a file right here. Okay, so I tried to do some experimentation. Let's say, so I have the door and drawer front together, and when we'll go ahead and bring this in, and I'll just show you real quick. And maybe this is me, I'm not doing something right, and if some, if any of you out there have an answer for this, let me know, because I haven't taken it to the machine yet, but this is something that I just noticed inside of taking something out of Cinema 4D into VCarve, but applying it onto a 4x8 sheet as if I was going to put, let's say I wanted to nest a bunch of doors and drawer fronts together and make like a set. Let me let this, see, this is what I talk about, it'll slow your machine down with the high settings. But you see in this one I have the drawer front and the door together. Alright, so that took a minute. That's why sometimes when the resolution is so high, or my polygon count is probably pretty high. Alright, so my scaling is good. It's scaling the right width, and then that's the height for the door and drawer. So if I hit position and import. Alright, so if I go to my 2D view, see how it imports together. And if I go to move, I have this set up to where, and this is real life for me, this is where it would sit. So see how it brings in, I was able to bring in both of them into the center areas. Well, this one looks a little off, so even it doesn't really matter for this, but let's just say we need to bump that up a little bit. But so it's in the center. So let's say this is a 4x8 sheet and I wanted to maybe, I'd have to build it out in the 3D program, but lay it out on a sheet. when I do it on when I do it on this 4x8 sheet, when I go in to my passes, I'm losing a bunch of resolution. Let's see if we can just demonstrate it real fast. I lose a bunch of resolution up here. Yeah, let's just get rid of that. We'll just use that V-bit for now. But you can even see, just even in my 3D view, I'm losing resolution. So I found that like I have to do it kind of part specific. Like I've got to, you know, and I don't know if this is, I don't know why. I haven't looked into it. I just kind of discovered that. So I don't know why, like you can see the detail here. Like I've just lost a lot of detail if I come down here. But now if I just focus on each individual piece, you know, VCarve is able to calculate it. So I'm not really sure what the deal is there, but that's just something that I noticed. So just keep in mind, like if I were going to do this, I'd have to focus on each drawer front and each door by itself. But anyway, I will shut up because you guys might be tired of hearing my voice. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out. And I will see you in the next video. And you guys have a good Thanksgiving wherever you are. And we'll see you next time.